Exodus. Chapter 33. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, Depart, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, To your seed I will give it. And I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in your midst, lest I consume you in the way, for you are a stiffnecked people. And when the people heard this evil word, they mourned, and no one put on his ornaments. Now Jehovah had said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, You are a stiff-necked people, if I were to go up in your midst for one moment, I would consume you. Now therefore put off your ornaments from you, and I will decide what to do to you. Thus the children of Israel were stripped of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. Now Moses would take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, some distance from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. And everyone who sought Jehovah went out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. And whenever Moses went out to the tent, all the people would rise up and stand, every man at the entrance of his tent, and gaze after Moses, until he entered the tent. And whenever Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stay at the entrance of the tent, and Jehovah would speak with Moses. When all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise up and worship, every man at the entrance of his tent. And Jehovah would speak to Moses face to face, just as a man speaks to his companion. And Moses would return to the camp, but his attendant Joshua the son of Nun, a young man, would not depart out of the tent. And Moses said to Jehovah, See, you say to me, Bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore if I have found favor in your sight, please let me know now your ways, that I may know you, so that I may continue to find favor in your sight. Consider also that this nation is your people. And he said, My presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest. And he said to him, If your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. For how then shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not by your going with us, so that we, I, and your people, are distinct from all the other people who are on the face of the earth? And Jehovah said to Moses, I will do this thing also that you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. And he said, Please show me your glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of Jehovah before you, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But he said, You cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. Then Jehovah said, Here there is a place by me, and you shall stand upon the rock. And while my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my palm until I have passed by. And I will take away my hand, and you will see my back, but my face shall not be seen. Exodus. Chapter 34. Then Jehovah said to Moses, Cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I will write upon the tablets the words which were on the first tablets, which you shattered. And be ready by the morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself there to me, on the top of the mountain. And no one shall come up with you, nor let anyone be seen anywhere on the mountain, nor let the flocks or herds graze in front of that mountain. So Moses cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai, just as Jehovah had commanded him, and he took 2 tablets of stone in his hand. And Jehovah descended in the cloud and took his place there with him and proclaimed the name of Jehovah. Then Jehovah passed by before him and proclaimed, Jehovah, Jehovah, God compassionate and gracious, long-suffering, and abundant in loving-kindness and truth. Keeping loving-kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the grandchildren, to the third and fourth generations. And Moses made haste and bowed to the ground and worshipped. And he said, If now I have found favor in your sight, O Lord, let the Lord please go in our midst, although they are a stiff-necked people, you pardon our iniquity and our sin and take us for your inheritance. And he said, Now I am going to make a covenant. Before all your people I will perform wonders such as have not been produced in all the earth, nor among any of the nations, and all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Jehovah, for it is an awesome thing that I will perform with you. Observe what I am commanding you today. I will drive out before you the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Be careful that you do not make any covenant with the inhabitants of the land against which you are going, lest they become a snare in your midst. But their altars you shall tear down, and their pillars you shall shatter, and their asheras you shall cut down. For you shall not worship any other god, for Jehovah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they play the harlot after their gods and sacrifice to their gods, and someone invites you, and you eat of his sacrifice. And you take some of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters play the harlot after their gods, and make your sons play the harlot after their gods. You shall not make for yourself any molten gods. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for in the month of Abib you came out from Egypt. All that opens the womb is mine, even the first male produced by all your livestock, of cattle or sheep. And the first offspring of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, but if you do not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem, and they shall not appear before me empty. 6 days you shall work, but on the 7th day you shall cease from labor. Even in plowing time and in harvest time you shall cease from labor. And you shall keep the feast of weeks, that is, of the firstfruits of the wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the Lord Jehovah, the God of Israel. For I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your borders, and no one shall covet your land when you go up to appear before Jehovah your God 3 times in the year. You shall not slaughter the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, nor shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover remain all night until the morning. The first of the firstfruits of your ground you shall bring to the house of Jehovah your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. And Jehovah said to Moses, Write these words, for according to the speaking of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with Jehovah 40 days and 40 nights, he did not eat bread, and he did not drink water. And he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. And when Moses came down from Mount Sinai and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hand when he came down from the mountain, Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone by reason of his speaking with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, at that time the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. So Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the rulers in the assembly returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. And afterward all the children of Israel came near, and he gave them in commandment all that Jehovah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moses had finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever Moses went in before Jehovah to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out, and whenever he came out and spoke to the children of Israel what he was commanded. The children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. So Moses put the veil back on his face until he went in to speak with him. Exodus. Chapter 35. And Moses gathered all the assembly of the children of Israel and said to them, These are the words which Jehovah has commanded you to do. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day you shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to Jehovah. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. And Moses spoke to all the assembly of the children of Israel, saying, This is what Jehovah has commanded, saying, Take from among yourselves a heave offering to Jehovah, whoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, the heave offering of Jehovah, gold and silver and bronze, and blue and purple and scarlet strands, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and porpoise skins, and acacia wood, and oil for the light, and spices for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense, and onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate. And let every man who is wise in heart among you come and make all that Jehovah has commanded. The tabernacle, its tent, and its covering, its clasps and its boards, its bars, its pillars, and its sockets. The ark and its poles, the expiation cover, and the veil of the screen. The table and its poles and all its utensils, and the bread of the presence. And the lampstand for the light and its utensils and its lamps, and the oil for the light. And the altar of incense and its poles, and the anointing oil, and the fragrant incense, and the screen for the entrance, at the entrance of the tabernacle. The altar of burnt offering, with its grating of bronze, its poles, and all its utensils, the laver and its base. The hangings of the court, its pillars, and its sockets, and the screen for the gate of the court. The pegs of the tabernacle and the pegs of the court, and their cords. The finely worked garments for ministering in the sanctuary, the holy garments for Aaron the priest and the garments of his sons for them to serve as priests. And all the assembly of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, everyone whose heart lifted him up and everyone whose spirit made him willing, and brought the heave offering of Jehovah for the work of the tent of meeting and for all its service and for the holy garments. And they came, men together with women, as many as were of a willing heart, and brought nose rings and earrings and signet rings and pendants, all kinds of articles of gold, even every man who waved a wave offering of gold to Jehovah. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet strands, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and porpoise skins, brought them. Everyone who offered a heave offering of silver and bronze brought the heave offering of Jehovah, and every man with whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the women who were wise in heart spun with their hands and brought what they had spun, the blue and the purple and the scarlet strands, and the fine linen. And all the women whose heart lifted them up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the leaders brought the onyx stones and the stones for setting for the ephod and for the breastplate. And the spices and the oil for the light and for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense. The children of Israel brought a freewill offering to Jehovah, every man and woman whose heart made them willing to bring for all the work, which Jehovah had commanded through Moses to be done. And Moses said to the children of Israel, See, Jehovah has called by name Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge, and with all kinds of workmanship. Even to fashion skillful designs, to work in gold and in silver and in bronze. And in the cutting of stones for setting, and in the carving of wood, to work in all kinds of skillful workmanship. And he has put in his heart to teach, both he and Oholiab the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with wisdom of heart, to work all kinds of workmanship, of an engraver and of a skillful workman and of an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet strands, and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of those who do all kinds of workmanship and of those who fashion skillful designs.